What if the most celebrated mogul in hip-hop has nursed a secret so vile that a whispered confession could send everything crashing down? At 4:13 a.m. inside Rikers Island, a 72-second tape slipped into the world. One trembling voice, breaking, naming more than 100 children led into rooms that never showed up on security feeds. For 25 years, Sean Diddy Combs spun platinum hits, sold champagne dreams, and sidestepped every scandal. But this voice belongs to his own son, Justin Dior Combs, gasping that he should have spoken up sooner. Within hours, the Manhattan District Attorney launched an emergency task force. Federal agents raided archives, and child advocacy groups reopened cold files. The question isn't whether Diddy can spin another press release. It's whether the empire he built on fame and fear can survive a story told by blood. Because if this leak is real, the next knock could come from the FBI. Section 1. The Leak and the 5-Hour Frenzy. It started before dawn, long before the city's engines roared to life. At 4:13 a.m. on July 1, an anonymously posted audio file, just 72 seconds of shaky breaths and cracking sentences, hit a handful of indie news servers. The voice, raw and unmistakably young, spoke of more than 100 kids ushered in one by one, then broke down in sobs. Within 40 minutes, the clip ricocheted across encrypted forums. By sunrise, every major outlet was scrambling to verify what sounded like Justin Dior Combs whispering from the solitary wing of Rikers. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office didn't wait for confirmation. At 9:07 a.m., a rare interagency emergency call went out. FBI, NYPD Special Victims, and 2 child protection nonprofits on the same line, citing credible allegations of organized serial child abuse. By noon, federal tech teams were demanding surveillance logs from Rikers, and process servers were sprinting toward Diddy's corporate headquarters, clutching fresh subpoenas. Mainstream networks hedged, labeling the clip unverified, yet ratings soared as anchors replayed its most chilling phrase. "I counted more than 100. Stock in Combs Global slid 9% before lunch. Sponsors froze ad buys, and lawyers issued the standard "no comment." But panic rippled loudest inside the industry's back rooms, because if the Sun's voice was genuine, every contract, every backstage pass, every carefully curated alibi suddenly looked like evidence waiting to be bagged. But the number wasn't the only shock. The ages he described next would rattle even seasoned investigators. Section 2. More than 100 kids, the staggering claim. The number landed like a punch. Over 100, Justin whispered, then doubled down. He'd watch them arrive one by one. To investigators, that phrase mattered even more than the head count. One-time predators lose track. Organized rings keep score. The moment the clip hit prosecutors' desks, specialists from child protection units began cross-matching every unsolved missing minor case in Diddy's orbit. Los Angeles, Miami, the Hamptons, focusing on the boom years of 2008 to 2020 when his private parties were a legend. Rumors suggest preliminary spreadsheets already flag clusters of disappearances that align uncannily with Combs-owned properties and shell company talent camps. No proof yet, just a chilling overlap that refuses to be coincidence. What drove the urgency wasn't just scale, but pattern. One by one implies choreography. Someone recruited, someone transported, someone received. Federal analysts now treat the tape as a breadcrumb trail, pointing to an operating system, complete with schedules, safe houses, and silent accomplices paid to look away. Civil rights lawyers whisper RICO, arguing that if even part of Justin's tally is real,
This case graduates from scandal to enterprise-level crime. Meanwhile, online sleuths scrape old social posts, tour bus manifests, and leaked guest lists, hunting children whose names never made headlines. Hashtags bloom, hashtag one by one, and hashtag find the 103. Diddy's silence only feeds the wildfire. Every hour without comment feels like another admission. Yet skeptics urge caution. Voice-matching software can be fooled, and the tape's origin remains a mystery. Still, the public mood has shifted from "could it be true?" to "show us the children." But the true horror wasn't how many vanished, it was how young they were. Justin's next words sketch scenes of balloons, cartoon backpacks, and tears from mothers left outside. And that revelation would send the investigation spiraling into even darker territory.
Section 3. Balloons, Backpacks, and Broken Promises. Justin's next words cleaved through any lingering doubt. Many of the children weren't even old enough for school. One still clutching a balloon, another lugging a cartoon backpack larger than their shoulders. Those images detonated across social feeds because they narrowed the timeline. Toddlers to early-grade kids lured to private estates on the promise of talent training and arts camps. Independent watchdogs immediately reopened a dozen dormant missing child files from Los Angeles and suburban New York. One case, rumors claim, involves 7-year-old Kayla J., last seen in 2012 boarding a hired van bound for a Hidden Hills villa linked, through 2 shell companies, to Diddy's corporate web. Her mother received no contract, just a glossy flyer and a handler's smile. 48 hours later, the phone number went dead. The studio address never existed. Kayla's file was shelved as an undetermined disappearance. Now, investigators are lining that timeline beside Justin's ledger of 103 ticks, searching for overlap. Child rights attorneys warn of a legal blind spot. Once a minor enters a private event without a guardian paperwork, they vanish from official systems. No ID, no medical records, no digital trace. That loophole, they argue, is a design feature, not an accident. And if even a handful of Justin's one-by-ones match those cold files, the case leaps from shocking to historically unprecedented. But why? With so many tiny witnesses and so many adult onlookers, did no one inside the mansion raise an alarm? The answer lies less in threats and more in a single paralyzing glance, an unspoken command that would silence a household for 10 long years.
Section 4. The silence, power, fear, and the one glance. Justin never describes fists, knives, or threats. He describes a look. One cold, measuring stare from his father that nailed his tongue to the floor for a decade. In that instant, he understood the house rule: speak and you're out, of the family, of the fortune, maybe of the world. That wordless command rippled far beyond blood. Bodyguards, caterers, stylists all learned it without being told. Ask no questions, keep the job. A former security aide later admitted, "We watched the kids walk in, but payroll hit every Friday. That was enough." Psychologists call it coercive consensus, when hierarchy alone suffocates dissent. Inside Combs' estates, the glitz masked a hush so absolute that the abnormal became routine. One child enters a soundproof room, private rehearsal. 2 more follow, VIP experience. By the 10th, nobody even blinked. The mansion evolved into a living organism whose immune system attacked anyone who noticed the infection. Public opinion now fractures along that silent fault line. Some cast Justin as a groomed victim, frozen by paternal power. Others brand him an accessory who let innocence be devoured. Yet both camps agree on one thing: without insiders breaking ranks, predators thrive. And eventually, even the quietest witness reaches a tipping point. Justin's came when the horror stopped being a blur of faces and turned into something colder. Numbers scratched into a secret ledger, each tick a life forever changed.
Section 5, 103 entries. The alleged ledger. For years, Justin tried to forget the faces, so he started counting instead. 2 initials on a sticky note here, a tally mark on a phone there, until the final score froze at 103. That private bookkeeping, whispered in the tape, jolted prosecutors more than any tear-stained apology. Lone offenders lose track. Enterprises keep records. If a son tracked head counts, investigators reason a father might have done the same. Encrypted calendars, wiped iCloud backups, villa check-in spreadsheets now being resurrected byte by fragile byte. Digital forensics teams are sifting old devices once synced to Diddy's accounts, hunting technical shadows, auto-save notes, deleted location pings, even rideshare metadata that outlived factory resets. Lawyers call it a fishing expedition. Agents call it a roadmap. Because every recovered timestamp matching Justin's marks would stitch rumor into RICO-grade proof, dates, places, and perhaps the names of children who vanished before anyone ever knew they were missing. Wall Street smells blood. Combs' global stock keeps dipping with each leaked warrant, but the bigger collapse may be cultural. Fans who once sang every hook now scroll through spreadsheets posted by online sleuths trying to guess which tick stands for which lost child. The ledger has transformed Justin from haunted bystander into the key witness who could resurrect charges a jury dismissed only days ago. Yet numbers were never enough for Diddy. According to Justin, one night the mogul tried to drag his own son past the point of no return, not with a threat, but with a smile and a single soul-splitting request. You choose. And that moment, if true, turns silent complicity into something far darker. Section 6. Forced choice. When innocence becomes complicity. It happened, Justin says, on a Friday after midnight. 3 children waited in the corridor. Small, nervous, coats still buttoned. Diddy lounged in the doorway, glass in hand, and turned to his son with a grin. "I don't feel like choosing tonight. You pick. Which one looks the most obedient?" The words sounded casual, almost teasing. Yet Justin felt the floor tilt. Because in that instant, the crime wasn't just his father's. It threatened to become his. Psychologists call it shared moral burden. A predator dilutes guilt by forcing others to play a part, however small. A single nod, a pointing finger, even silent compliance binds the witness forever to the act. Justin froze. He neither spoke nor pointed, but the damage was done. He now carried the unbearable knowledge that his hesitation might have sealed a child's fate. Investigators view this moment as a smoking gun for organized abuse. Asking someone else to select a victim implies a system already in motion. Multiple children on call, an expectation of regular sessions, and staff prepared to act on a signal. If any digital record, text, calendar note, or security log confirms 3 minors arrived that night and only 2 departed, prosecutors can elevate charges from exploitation to coordinated human trafficking. Public outrage sharpened. Those who once pitied Justin now wonder, did he ever cave under the pressure? He insists he didn't. Yet legal experts warn that mere presence at a selection could expose him to conspiracy counts. Federal agents have already subpoenaed guest lists, Wi-Fi logs, and rideshare receipts from that weekend, searching for a trio of unticketed minors who vanished into a mansion no camera was allowed to film. But the nightmare didn't stop after the choices were made. According to Justin, the mansion itself began to haunt him, echoing with soft, desperate knocks that rattled his bedroom door at exactly 3 in the morning.
and every unanswered tap whispered the same question. Did someone inside still hope to be rescued?
Section 7. Midnight knocks and missing shadows. The silence of Combs' palatial hallways was broken, Justin says, by a pattern too precise to be chance. 3 soft knocks at 3 a.m., a hush, then the scurry of bare feet fading down marble floors. At first, he blamed his nerves. But one night, curiosity cracked the bedroom door just wide enough to glimpse a tiny silhouette, no shoes, clutching what looked like a stuffed rabbit, gliding toward the servants' stairwell. Justin didn't follow. He cranked his speakers louder and drowned the hallway in bass. Those nocturnal echoes have now become evidence. Federal forensics teams mapping the Hidden Hills estate discovered 3 interior rooms never filed in county blueprints. Soundproofed, windowless, disconnected from the home's security grid. Contractors claim they built storage spaces. Former staff whisper a darker purpose, VIP playrooms, off-limits to cameras and cleaning crews. Cold case analysts have already tied 4 disappearances to party weekends where private shuttles delivered minors, yet exit logs list fewer departures than arrivals. One name resurfaces, an 11-year-old boy called Lewis, last seen 2015, whose mother recalls a villa with mirrored halls and music booming all night. His file, once labeled No Leads, now sits atop a growing stack marked Urgent. Online, the hashtag shift to hashtag Remember the 103. Each new detail turns the public's fear into fury. Because a knock implies hope. Someone still believed help might be only a door away. And if walls could muffle screams, could they also entomb the truth? Investigators are closing in, subpoenas are flying, and Combs' empire is showing its first visible cracks. Yet, even a criminal machine doesn't collapse until the money dries up and the partners scatter. In our final chapter, we'll follow the cash, the lawsuits, and the looming verdicts to see whether the maestro of hip-hop can outrun the echoes that haunt his own halls.
Section 8. Empire on the Edge. Lawsuits, verdicts, and the road ahead. The dominoes started toppling the moment the tape went public. But by early July, the financial quake finally reached Diddy's penthouse. On July 2, 2025, a federal jury in Manhattan found him guilty on 2 counts of interstate prostitution. Judges denied bail, citing risk of witness intimidation. The same verdict hung not proven on racketeering, yet prosecutors now signal they'll revive that charge if Justin's ledger or new digital forensics link even one of those 103 ticks to an organized transport route. Civil firestorms burn on both coasts. In Los Angeles, a June 27 suit accuses Diddy and, critically, Justin of orchestrating a 2017 assault on a teenage dancer during a summer boot camp. 2 more plaintiffs have since joined, emboldened by the audio leak. Insurance underwriters panic-polled coverage. Brand partners from luxury vodka to streaming platforms declared indefinite suspension. Combs' global stock plunged another 15%, triggering loan covenant alarms that could force a fire sale of catalog rights, once valued at $500 million. Behind the scenes, federal accountants follow a tangled maze of shell companies, stretching from Delaware to the Caymans, freezing assets that smell of hush payments and off-ledger travel stipends. Sponsors may walk, but money still talks, so investigators squeeze lieutenants who booked flights, wired appearance fees, and notarized NDAs. A former logistics manager, sources say, is already negotiating a cooperation deal in exchange for immunity on trafficking charges. Yet the empire's collapse isn't just legal or financial, it's cultural. Radio programmers yank classic singles, festival lineups scrub headshots, even longtime friends in fashion and philanthropy release careful statements about due process while deleting old selfies. Hashtags once used to hype new albums now spotlight cold cases. Hashtag Remember the 103. Hashtag Who Knocked at 3.
Each trending surge drags fresh witnesses from the shadows and tightens the noose around every silent partner who thought distance was protection. Still, Diddy's camp clings to the same two words, unverified leak. His lawyers vow an appeal, hinting the tape is deep-fake propaganda designed to extort. But digital authenticity experts report a 97% biometric match to Justin's voice and zero traces of AI stitching. If that science holds in court, the defense will need more than doubt. It will need an alternate reality. And looming beyond every brief and balance sheet is the question no verdict can erase. Where are the children? Charges may imprison a perpetrator, lawsuits may bankrupt a brand, but justice feels hollow until each vanished name gains a voice. As federal agents pry open soundproof rooms and long cold files, the world watches, because an empire built on gold records is one thing, but an empire built on silence can fall in a single, unstoppable roar.
When whispers become thunder. So here we are, 8 scandal-packed chapters later, staring at an empire that once felt untouchable, now trembling because a single midnight whisper slipped through the cracks. We've tracked the 72-second leak from a lonely Rikers cell, chased rumors through hidden blueprints and shell companies, watched sponsors scatter, and counted 103 silent knocks that may still echo in walls no one dared to examine. Every new fact, each subpoena, each resurfaced cold case turns one man's alleged family scandal into a possible blueprint for systemic exploitation. Yet the story's real weight isn't in Diddy's headlines or Justin's tears. It's in the question hanging over every scroll of your feed. Where are those children now? Until faces replace tally marks, justice will feel like a half-written song, looping but never resolving. Maybe the next court date brings answers. Maybe a former insider finally cracks. Or maybe, just maybe, one of the missing hears a crowd chanting #RememberThe103 and realizes the world is finally listening. Whatever unfolds, remember this. Fame can buy silence, but it can't erase truth. A whisper, once spoken, vibrates forever, joining other voices until the hush becomes a roar no platinum record can drown out. So keep asking, keep digging, keep the comments alive, because the moment we stop listening is the moment the doors close again and the knocks fade back into the dark.